Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream. We are delighted you're able to join us today. We are thrilled to be hosting the absolutely wonderful Michael McManus for this wonderful live stream. We're going to be talking about the problem with just have fun in nosework. Spicy. So, Mr. Michael, as I'm just making sure the technology is behaving itself, could you just do a really quick introduction of yourself, please?
Absolutely. So, for those who don't know me, I've been doing nose work for about a little over 17 years, I think. I started with my Siberian Husky, Lumi, and she was my first dog. I didn't grow up with animals. I was in school as a music major, and I got her and decided I wanted her to be the best dog ever. So, I entered her in puppy classes and different things. And the first puppy class I attended had one of the founding instructors of nose work, and they said you should do nose work with her. I'm like, what's nose work? It's like, oh, it's this cool new dog sport. I'm like, what's a dog sport? And she was like, well, there's these like competitions all over the place, and I'm very competitive. So I was like, okay, how do you win? Like, what do I need to know? What do I need? And that was it. I was hooked. And then 2 weeks into that nose work class, we're doing little hot dogs in boxes kind of thing. And I pull her aside after class. I'm like, how do you become a nose work instructor? And she told me, oh no, you could never be a nose work instructor. It's only for top behaviorists. And so I dropped out of school and became a nose work instructor. And I am like, I'm into music, I'm into math, I'm into science. And so the like evolution of the dog, the behavior of the dog, that learning theory stuff, that became really interesting to me. And that's how I got kind of turned into ethology and how dogs think and what they evolved to do and what the difference between breeds are. And that's why nose work in particular is exciting to me. Nose work, hunt tests, protection sport, sheep herding, these are things that I've all taken very, very seriously because they're activities where you can just participate in the dog's world rather than forcing the dog to participate in your world.
Perfect. So, yes, as you guys can see, Michael has such a wonderful wealth of knowledge and background in all this stuff. And I love his background because it provides this really great perspective of the things that we do, which is always good, which is why we love hosting him for everything. And the feedback that we get from everyone's like, oh, I love Michael's takes. They make me think. So, we're hoping to get you all to think today and to think and make sure you have an open mind, get some tea or some coffee, and take deep breaths. Because we're going to be talking about this concept.
Coffee, as the case may be.
There you go. Tea, coffee, whatever it is. Maybe some wine if that's your thing. Because we're going to talk about this whole concept of just having fun in Soundwork, in Nosework rather. So, sir, quick thing for you is just to set the playing field here. When someone says just have fun in Nosework, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So, and I remember a little bit when you were talking about doing this live stream, it was kind of an accident that we were doing a different live stream and you said just something. Yes. And I almost went on a whole rant about that, about how annoying that was to me. And okay. So what does it mean to me? So we can look at each word kind of and dissect it. My biggest problem is with the word just. Just is diminishing. Like having fun is easy, and it doesn't take effort. Like just do that. Like just go outside. Like it's you could just do it if you wanted to. Also, it's diminishing. Like it's not important. Having fun isn't something you just do. It's something of meaningful. It's something important. It's not just. So it's really the word just that bothers me in a variety of contexts. I for a long time, I've been bothered when people tell me, oh, I don't care if we place, we just want a title. And whenever you're saying just, it feels like you're lowering the bar. And maybe lowering the bar is a good thing or something, but why are we lowering the bar? Why? What I feel that sometimes the dog feels from that attitude is that you don't think that they're very good. You don't think that they're going to do very well. That you think that if they can just meet the bare minimum, that's what they can do. And I don't like that attitude. Like, titling, for one, again, it's not something simple. It's not a diminishment. You shouldn't feel bad about just titling. You shouldn't diminish it. You should be proud of it. We're here to title. It's nothing just about that. And there's nothing just about having fun. Now, on the other side of this statement is the word fun. And I talk a lot about fun in my game stuff because when people, I'm well known for teaching games. And the first thing people think of when they think of games is fun in games. And people are intentionally tricked into attending my seminars thinking that we're going to have a bunch of fun. And I hope you do have fun at my seminars. But no, when I'm talking about games, I'm talking about game theory, which is a field of decision theory, which is a field of mathematics. I'm thinking about something very similar, very serious, very deep and meaningful and technical when I'm talking about games. It's not just fun in games, right? So what do we mean by fun? And what do we mean to just have, like, again, like, it's such a challenging statement for me to accept when someone says just have fun. Like, well, don't you think I want to have fun? If I could just have fun, wouldn't I have fun? Isn't winning fun? Is winning not fun? Is losing fun sometimes, or is losing not fun? Just fun. If losing is not fun, then just have fun means don't lose, right? Or is winning not actually fun? So don't try to win because you just want to have fun. What does that mean? It's a competition. Why are we competing? If competing isn't fun, why are we competing at all? Like, this opens up a whole bag of worms for me, and it's hard for me to get out of that spiral. Sorry.
No, you're good. This is what this is for, is to watch Michael spiral. So I think that leads into nicely with, so before I dive into a little bit more depth of what you were just talking about, are there certain things that when people are saying this that you're assuming that they mean? Like if a client comes to you and they say, I'm interested in training with you, I'm just interested in having fun. What are you reading in between the lines for that client? Typically speaking.
Yeah. So I'm reading that. So I have a client that comes to me and says, I just want to have fun. What I'm reading is that they are taking nose work very seriously, maybe too seriously. And maybe this is the kind of person who takes life too seriously. Like, it might be hard for them to have fun, or maybe they do have fun normally, but they found something in nose work where their ability to have fun and enjoy themselves has been obstructed. Maybe obstructed because of the way we talk about nose work and nose work training, and the way we force people to do things that they're maybe not comfortable with, or that doesn't make sense to them, or we get too mechanical about it, about like rewarding faster and this and that. And I've seen a couple articles recently about why the be more interesting than dirt is not helpful. Like, what does that mean? What is dirt doing that makes it exciting? And then you have these people running around shrieking at the top of their lungs, and it's like the dog is looking at you like, what is that? That's not actually helpful. So I think these people are telling me they're not enjoying themselves anymore. And so they want to enjoy themselves, and they think in order to enjoy themselves, they have to like let something go, which might be true, but they're probably going to let go of things that are incorrect. So to give you a concrete example, I actually just did a lesson with someone recently that was having trouble with their young dog, in particular in exteriors. It's a nice little like a hunting breed dog, and they were trying to remove pressure so that the dog could enjoy themselves more. And I could immediately see that, one, removing of pressure was going to make the dog worse, and two, that if they wanted the dog to enjoy themselves, they actually need to increase the pressure, but they need to increase the pressure in the right ways, which is true for all of our lives. Enjoying our life doesn't mean the removal of all pressure. Like, that is a great recipe for depression. And like, what you really need to enjoy your life is the right kinds of pressure, which we would normally describe as meaning, purpose. These are pressures that push us in one way or another. So I think when people think I need to stop caring about criteria, it's like, oh no, you guys are going to spiral because you're thinking you're going to make it better for the dog by having less criteria. And that's going to make your dog show confusion and less clarity in everything they're doing. And that's going to show up as less enjoyment, which then you're going to think, well, maybe I need to remove even more pressure. And then now we put our dogs in this little Skinner box, essentially, because that's all that behaviorism can offer you is a Skinner box. And if you're not getting the behaviors you want, all you need to do is control all the variables. And if you think that if you control all the variables, you'll get the answer you want. And that's not true. And that's not very fun, is it?
Right. So in that vein, so you have it from a training perspective, from a trialing perspective. If a client comes to you, hey, Michael, I've been training for a little bit. We're entering some trials. I just want to have fun. What are you reading in between the lines for that person?
That they are going to be emotionally affected by failure.
Yes.
Because if that wasn't the case, if they weren't going to be affected by failure, they would have no reason to say that to me. I think, in fact, when my students come to me and ask me, do you think I'm ready to go do an ORT or a trial, whatever level it is? Do you think I'm ready? My answer to them is always the same. Are you prepared to learn from failure? And if the answer is yes, then go for it. I don't care if you're ready or not. What I care is that you go and you say, okay, this is where we failed, and this is what I'm going to do to train and to improve ourselves. If you're not prepared to handle failure, and it's hard to admit that. So I've never had a student admit, no, I'm not prepared. But you've all seen it in someone competing, that maybe they do have all the skills they need. But the problem is having all the skills you need doesn't guarantee you're gonna pass a nosework search, because nosework is gambling. It's throwing dice a little bit. And so if you're not prepared to learn from failure, then it doesn't matter whether you're prepared or not, because when you fail, it's going to spiral you out of control. And then you're going to come to me and say, I just want to have fun, because that failure wasn't fun for you. And failure is fun for me. It actually is fun. Of course, depends on how I'm failing. That definitely matters. But I honestly, and I have a particular psychological type. I honestly enjoy myself more when I'm struggling than I enjoy myself when I'm winning. Maybe that's part of the reason I like training all these off breeds and things like that, is because the struggle is where I find the most enjoyment. And so I don't have to seek fun for me, because I am having fun in the process.
So is it so much the struggle as opposed to it's not monotonous, or it's the opportunity for creativity of being able to find new ways of getting to a solution? Or is it really just like, oh no, this was hard. I like leaning into the hard.
It really is, for me, it really is the hard. I can think about my hunt test training right now. And sure, there's lots of opportunities for creativity and innovation and complexity and things like that. But a lot of hunt training is doing the same monotonous thing over and over and over and over again. And what makes it worthwhile to me is that all of that effort comes back at the end in accomplishing what you want to do. And like, no offense to anybody who enjoys these dog sports, but like, I've done a little dock diving, and it does not capture my interest at all. And it's just too easy. And I'm not saying there's no complexity to dock diving. I know I'm going to offend a bunch of people. Like, dock diving is a great dog sport for the right kind of person. It's not for me. There are certain things that I love. There's certain things I don't love. And complexity or the challenge is part of what I like. I was hooked on nosework the first time I failed at nosework. That's what got me hooked. That, of course, has to do with my personality type.
So, how do you bridge the gap when you have a different personality gap in a client who encounters that struggle and says, I'm sorry, you wanted me to pay you money so I can
Yes.
struggle?
Yeah. And I do have different pieces of advice for different people based on their personality type. But what I would say is the first thing I would say is what attracts me to dog training and dogs is that they give us an opportunity for personal growth. And failure is going to exist in life in general. And learning how to cope with failure in good ways is super important to having overall general well-being in life.
Mhm.
And so even if that's not your personality, I would highly recommend that you work on it. That you don't just say that's just not who I am. That I think there's two extremes. One extreme is I don't care about failure so much that you just dig yourself into pits. Like you never make progress because there's no reason to make progress. The other side is being so motivated by failure that you fail once and you're done. I can't do
Mhm.
anymore, or you destroy the world, because you failed. But somewhere in between there is like failure excites you to do something more, bothers you enough to motivate you, and it's just the right amount. And if you can find out how to get yourself there by like inoculating, so you have to figure out which side are you? Are you on the side where you can't handle any amount of failure? Okay. How can you inoculate yourself with little bits of failure that lead to growth? Little bit of failure that leads to growth. And one advice I would have is to learn a new skill every year. I try to do that. I either pick up a new instrument or a new hobby. Every year I try to do something new. I make it a goal of mine. And whenever you learn a new skill, you will suck at it at first. And you have to give yourself permission to suck and to fail. And at the end of that, you'd like, don't give up. Because if you keep up with it for at least a month or two, depending on what the skill is, you will get a small amount better, and try to measure your progress, because if you can find pleasure in that small amount of progress through the failure, you will actually start changing your response to failure. Um, if you're on the side that doesn't care about failure, it may be that you need to find the right thing that will get you to care. Um, it may be that you've been so beaten down by failure that you're actually on the other side and you don't even know it anymore.
Mhm.
That's probably true for a lot of people. In which case, like that's difficult to work through, and I think therapy would be a serious option there.
Yes.
Um, but if you're really on the unmotivated side, that's also a serious problem, and you should see like why are you so unmotivated? Do you have ambitions? Do you want to do things? Do you want to make your life better? Do you want to make your dog's life better? Why are we doing this to begin with? So ask yourself those questions. And I do think it's worth trying to find that middle zone, even if it's not your personality.
So, for people who may be doing the construct of having fun because they are observing something in their dog that they perceive as though the dog isn't having fun, of I do a training session and the dog struggled and oh my God, their tail went down and oh Jesus, I'm breaking my dog. Or I went to trial and they spooked at the backfiring car. I can't believe that I did this to my dog, whatever. How do you help those people? Because it's not just about them. They obviously are bringing plenty to the table, but it's something that they're observing in their dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you help that?
Yeah, it's funny because the same way I'm coaching the people is the same way I would coach the dogs. It's not just good for humans to learn how to handle failure.
Right.
It's also good for dogs.
Yes.
We need to be inoculating our dogs against this fear of failure, fear of all of this. And so in that case, we've got a couple different situations. One is dogs who um, you're noticing that they are stressed. The problem is that you think that stress is a bad thing when it's not. It's a great thing. It's the right kind of stress. That's what we're doing nose work for. Dropping the tail, showing stress signs. These are natural things that happen in real life scenarios that don't mean something bad is happening. It just means that the dog is engaging with life in meaningful ways. Um, Now, being able to read that, knowing what's healthy stress and what's not healthy stress is key there. But more often than not, and I keep telling people this in my workshops lately, like what you are paying me to do 90% of the time, what you're paying me for is just to say, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. That's all I do. And then, wow, lo and behold, the dog solves the problem on their own. And you wanted to rescue them because they were stressed. And now the dog is quite proud of themselves. And they wouldn't have been if you had interfered. So that's one side of it. Another side of it is you're doing something that is causing a problem for the dog, like a not healthy problem. We're using a training technique. We're using a method that either you're misunderstanding or your dog isn't getting it because it doesn't work with your type of dog for whatever reason. This is one of the reasons I like having a large toolkit, is that I can pull out different tools for different dogs, because not everything will work with every dog. And so that's when you're seeing things are getting worse. My dog is not looking forward to going to trial. My dog's not looking forward to going to class. My dog's not looking forward to training the next day. Okay, what do I do about that? And sometimes that comes to lifestyle changes for the dog. A lot of that can be fixed by giving the dog a little bit more of a working lifestyle. I do think a too much comfort, this is my stoicism talking, too much comfort causes anxiety. And so maybe we need to use the dog's food for training, which isn't exactly the same thing as withholding food. I'm not talking about making the dog hungry. I'm just saying all the food comes from work, and the dog feels that there's a meaning for what they are doing, not just that they're just doing it and then they get fed. And it may have nothing to do with that. I'm just saying maybe their life is stressful for other reasons. Maybe you've got a dog and it needs 100 acres to run 5 hours every day, and it lives in an apartment. And this is a real problem for this dog. And you're trying to give it nose work as this outlet, but the dog is so suppressed and bottled up that all it does when it gets to nose work is put its nose down and want to pee or something like that. Is because it's almost a protest, has nothing else it can give. Right. And so we need to get that dog back to baseline through a variety of means, including nose work.
So when you have those kinds of issues where, as an instructor, you notice in the person that they're noticing something in the dog, and you come up with a plan, be like, okay, I think that these are some of the things that could potentially help, and we're going to try that. How do you then balance as an instructor where the client is landing on the pendulum, where they're kind of switching between what they're noticing in the dog, but also where they are landing emotionally, as far as this whole have fun thing?
Yeah.
Where they're so gun shy over potentially breaking something. But if we just have fun, Michael, then it's going to be fine. So how do you help them?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story that happened at a recent workshop, because so much of it does stem from us. Really, the coyote in the wild is doing a lot of the same things our nose work dogs are doing or more, and nobody's there to help them. Nobody's there to feel bad for them. None of that. They figure it out on their own. Okay. So this was a nice lady, and she's got this nice, sensitive young dog. And one of her problems is that the dog gets stressed and frustrated and then wants to quit. And she's very aware of that and anxious about that happening. And we're inside of a search, and we'd already talked about this in earlier searches, but we're inside of the search, and she says, oh, there she goes. She's getting frustrated. And I said, okay, I just want you to change how you say that, because your observation is correct. Okay. But what I want you to say is, oh, good, she's getting frustrated, because that's an opportunity for her to work through it. And it was funny because she said, oh, good, she's getting frustrated, almost mocking back at me. And as soon as she said that, the dog was fine.
Yeah.
It was so shocking to her. She was like, oh my God, my dog is now working. It's me. She turned to me and said, it's me. I'm like, yeah, yes, it was. That doesn't mean your dog's not going to get frustrated. They're still going to get frustrated, but you have the ability to make it worse or make it better in some way, or to do nothing. I think we're all familiar of the example of, you're out at a park with a little kid and they fall and they look up at you. You got that split second to laugh, and then they laugh, or to say, are you okay? And then they start crying.
Right.
The kid is waiting for that feedback. And so does our dog a little bit. We have these moments where we can interject ourselves to push them, nudge them one way or another in terms of how they're going to frame their own stress.
Right. So now let's take this into even a broader view. So from an instructor standpoint, because I know I have said, I'm very guilty of this. I just want my clients to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you're seeing with your fellow colleagues or even with yourself well, I'll frame it this way. If I'm viewing someone doing something within nosework and I'm like, ooh, that makes me uncomfortable of whatever it is.
Okay.
There's a lot of pressure on the handlers, a lot of pressure on the dog. I don't like what I'm seeing. I just wish they would have fun. What is your observation in the way that I'm describing that? What is your reading in between the lines of that?
It's funny because why is it so hard to not say, I want my clients to have fun? Why can't you just say that? I want my clients not, and don't diminish it. I want my clients to be having an amazing time. Not just fun. I want them to be having a blast, including when they're struggling, including when they're overfaced. I want them to be having a blast and feel like, oh my gosh, like I've left workshops and I've seen other people have left workshops where they go, oh my gosh, that was so hard. I learned so much. It was amazing. Right. Mm-hmm. It's the framing of it. Now, it's another thing altogether. If something is happening that is not sitting well with you, if you think this is a bad scenario, that's not an area for I just want them to have fun. It's an area for this isn't right for you. You should leave. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Now, and let me also put it another way. Let me try to interject just into another statement. I just want my students to have the best quality training and experience they can have. I can say that. Does the word just really add anything to that statement? I think it actually diminishes it.
Right. But I think that is, so again, I'll just put this all on me, is being someone who has no self-esteem whatsoever, who has no ego whatsoever. Oh my God, I'm so sorry you were drinking. Gonna make Michael joke, but it's true. I think I'm lower than dirt. Oh, Santos sucks. Is that I'm always putting the just in everything that I say. There's always a qualifier in everything, myself personally, and even as an instructor. So, like the things you're saying make perfect sense because they're true. Of well, maybe this isn't actually going to work out, so I can just put this qualifier in there. So when it does blow up later, well, I had the just in there, Michael. So.
Just like the handler can be feeding down to the dog, I think you as an instructor are feeding to your student, and you'll sell them on your own insecurity by doing that. It's very dangerous. I think it was, it's like, and this is a weird metaphor, but this is because it's coming off the top of my head. If I'm a waiter and I'm like, I just want to make sure your meal's okay. That's one thing. And there's another thing to say, how can I is there anything I can do to make your meal better? Right. And as an instructor, I want my students to have good experiences too. And so that would be a better thing to do, would be to say, like, is there anything I can do to like make you and your dog's experience better? What are you feeling right now? Right. What can we do? And look, if you want to say, I just want to make sure you're having fun, if that's working for you and your clients, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do want to point out, just be careful if you're underselling yourself and that other people understand that. They're not stupid.
Yes.
You're not hiding.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. No. But this is why I think the conversation is so important, is that there are unintended consequences to all of this stuff. Even just the framing of, I want you to have fun, but I can't force you to have fun. And I'm also then placing that requirement onto you. Mm-hmm. So from an instructor to client standpoint, did you want to talk about that a little bit? Is that even if we don't say the just part, if we then say, I want my clients to have fun, but what happens if I'm a client and I'm not having fun? Is that now my fault as a client?
Yeah. When I start my game seminar, I definitely say that. I say, because what I'm saying is this seminar is not going to be about fun and games. Right. It's actually about competition stress. Yes. And I say, I hope you have fun, and I'm sure you'll have fun, but that's not the point. And so what I'm saying in that sense, I'm going to get to your point, but what I'm saying is that even if you don't have fun, there's something to be learned here.
Yes.
So that's important. I think As an instructor, I do want my students to have fun, and it is wrong and unfair to me to put that burden on them. Like it's their job to entertain me by having fun and expressing their enjoyment. No, I as an instructor like hold that in, and I say it's my job to make sure they're having fun. How do I make sure they're having fun? I'd like to see that people are laughing. It's very rare that you go to one of my workshops and people aren't laughing. And if they're not, I feel very uncomfortable. And I don't know, it doesn't occur to me to like put the blame on them by saying, I want you guys to have fun. No, like then I go, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to do something different? Do I need to change the way I'm interacting with them? Do I need to pull them aside and do demos and do stuff like that? I definitely think you need some way, especially because if you're an insecure type, which I am, your mind is going to run with any little thing that you can see as negative.
Right.
And so it can be helpful to notice the positive things as well. Are people laughing? Are they blinking? Okay, blinking is one of these signs that they're engaged in thinking and processing. Are they looking at you? Are they engaging? Are they asking questions? Are they feeding back? Are they mirroring your body language? Little things like that. And you'll notice it. The more you start noticing those things, the more you're like, okay. And if you're not noticing those things, maybe there is something you could do a little better. Maybe you need to take a course on public speaking. There's a couple guys out right now that do some really great stuff about the use of your voice and moving it more melodically in ways that are more interesting. Because really, the way you deliver something, unfortunately, is almost as important as what you're delivering.
Yes. And I think that this leads in nicely to what I'm trying to get at here with my fishing expedition, and you're doing a very good job in playing along, is the level of responsibility that all of us have when we say this kind of stuff. So when there's the power dynamic between an instructor and a client that obviously exists, I don't think no one's doing this on purpose, but you can feel that on the receiving end of, oh, well,
Sure.
I'm not having fun, or worse still, the dog doesn't seem to be having fun, or the client doesn't know how to decipher whether or not the dog is having fun. So am I actually doing the thing you wanted me to do? Or are we now a failure as a package because we didn't meet the fun requirement? But does that also apply within class? So with other classmates, where maybe they're helping the instructor set up a search, or they're being a class assistant and someone's about to run, maybe they're running the gate, and before they go in, they say, have fun. It's like, okay, thank you for handing me this baggage of stuff I now need to deal with right before I search. Are those things that people should consider too?
Always. I mean, we can always be more considerate. I think my exposure to have fun, like that expression, like not just have fun, but the expression have fun. I play video games. And so good luck, have fun is the common greeting that you use to greet an adversary. And, it's like a salute. It's a shaking of the hands. It's like, have fun. I'm still going to try to obliterate you, but have fun. Right. And so it means something very different in that context. And I think both ends need to, not like, well, let me not use that example because that'll be too offensive. But it's like there's that type of person who, no matter what you say to them, they're going to take offense to what you said. We can, like, when someone says have fun, they're just being nice. Right. Maybe we should come up with better words. And some of them may not roll off the tongue. Learn something. Is that pressure too? Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what we should say that would be different. What would be better? I'm open to suggestions, but I think when someone says have fun, I just say thank you. That's on, But in my classes, yes, we definitely need to be careful about what we're imparting on our students, especially without realizing it, the negative things. Like have fun is like, okay, so we all know that student in our class who's got the dog who always struggles. And, the dog who's always successful, like, wow, go get him, like whatever. And the dog who struggles goes in, have fun. It's like, oh, there's something gross about that. Everyone says it, and everyone's feeling bad for you. I remember teaching at camp years and years and years ago. There was this nice little dog came in, ran a little blind search with me, and it was like a mock trial type thing. And I was like, she's a really fast dog. You need to like do better with your handling here or there, but she's a really fast dog. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, she like moved around his face in a nice and efficient and fast way. She's like, no one's ever said she was fast before. And it's probably not just that. It's probably that people have probably implied that she's slow.
Right.
And we should be careful about, and it may be true. And sometimes we need to deal with difficult truths. Maybe your dog is slow. But as an instructor, it's like, okay, let's see what we can do to speed your dog up. You know, let's see what we can do. We're dog trainers. We're supposed to be training behavior. And I got a lot of people with fast dogs who want them slowed down. And so, you know, just pointing that out is one thing, but it's another thing for that slow dog for everyone who was like, oh, I'm sure you'll do great. You know, like all of that baggage. It's not what you're saying that's the problem. It's what you're not saying. It's the undercurrent of that. That's the real problem, I think.
So how do you bridge the gap of, let me ask you this. Have you ever experienced as a trial official where you're watching a trial and there is something that you're seeing in a search that just makes you really uncomfortable, either on behalf of the dog or the handler? There's just something there that just gives you the ick factor. Have you ever experienced that?
Nothing pops to mind, but I'm sure it's happened. What can you give me kind of a rough example of what you had in mind?
So where there may have been an expectation differential between where the handler thought they could do something, or the dog was really super uncomfortable, or there was conflict between the relationship between the dog and the handler, where the reason why I'm asking this is that then the response to that may be, maybe you're just putting, maybe the perception is there's too much pressure, there's too much expectation, whatever it is, just have fun and back off a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what would you then answer to that? Where there's people who are seeing stuff that's like, oh, that makes me feel icky as someone who's watching. And then the response is just have fun instead. But that may not actually be what's necessary.
Yeah. I mean, as a trial official, I consider it my job not to interfere with what people's day is like.
Right.
So I might see that all the time, but you're not going to get a comment from me unless you come to me. Now, I'm trying to imagine like a volunteer or someone in the parking lot throwing this at someone. I don't know what they would have to say before I, as a trial official, felt like I needed to step in. As a competitor, it's a little differently. If you start coming in and loading baggage on competitors or whatever, I can easily defend my space. Like, hey, only positivity here. Like, we're not doing that.
Right.
Let's talk about, I don't know. I guess normal people would say sports and the weather. I would say politics, but let's not do that. But maybe I'm not getting to the point. But at a trial, it's difficult because like people are so in a headspace,
right?
That like, again, it's almost like we're talking about that person who's going to take offense to anything. Like there's for certain people, there's almost nothing you can say that they're not going to take wrong and take a negative thing into the search.
Right. So let's say that someone did a trial, they videoed it, and then they sent it to you as an instructor, and you're seeing all this stuff where they may have then said, well, I showed it also to my training friend, and they said, oh, you just need to have fun. What gives? So what would you then say for all of that?
I guess what I would say is, okay, what does fun mean? Like, what measurable behavior can I start applying now? That's my problem with just have fun. Maybe in that context is it doesn't actually tell you to do anything. Right. It's like, oh, you want me to just change my emotions? Emotional control on that level can happen, but it takes a lot of work. And it's not actually going to solve your problem. Maybe what you need is actually development of skill. I would much rather someone say, you pulled your dog off, work on your leash handling, rather than saying, just have fun. What if it really is just having fun actually going to change what happened here? I'm not sure. Maybe it will. I have seen people, who, took a shot before they did a nose work search and they did perform better. Like taking the stress off really made a difference for their performance. So yes, is stress a big factor there? Yeah, it is. But it's not the kind of thing where you can just get rid of stress. People go to counselors for years, and sports therapists and stuff like that for years before it's a noticeable change in performance. So yeah, I think we should be careful with that flippant advice. If you don't have something really concrete to offer,
Right.
maybe the best thing you can say is "good job."
So, for people who may be saying the just have fun thing in response to their perception for toxicity, whether it be within the activity or a competition or at trials, what do you say to those people? Where they've been like, oh, I just don't like all the ick that I'm feeling. I just wish everyone would just have fun.
Yeah, I think for those people, to a certain degree, maybe competitions aren't a good place for you, because yes, competitions are icky. Especially if you don't like competitiveness, like
Right.
it is a competition. People are there to win. People are there, like really trying and putting their cards out on the table, and people are going to be bummed and disappointed at their performances. And I think if you're in a place where like your performance is hurting due to your stress, and actually, I did have a client recently where that was the case. They had done a trial and it had gone totally south. It was really, really bad. And they had broken my advice. And they were like, they had just kind of started competitive nose work and they're really excited about it. And they're like, I want to do a trial every month. And I was like, don't do that. Do a trial every 3 months with lots of training in between. Like, and if you really want to do more, do a workshop in between, right? And so they didn't tell me, and they called me. We had our most terrible experience level. This is the third weekend in a row we've been competing, and we've got a weekend trial next weekend. And I was like, okay, I know you're probably not going to withdraw. So this is my advice: go and ask for help, and just treat it like a training day, and forget the ribbon, forget everything else. So that is a concrete version of just have fun. Literally means just have fun. Stop trying to pass.
Right.
Throw it away from me and ask for help. I want to know where all the hides are. Great. And that's what she did. She had the best day. She had fun. She just had fun. She literally just had fun. That's an example of what that really means. If you really want to just have fun, just go and ask for help. Go FEO.
Perfect. So what are some of the ways that you would want for people who may be straddling the doing the activity of nose work and then having some trial experiences that they didn't really enjoy, but now they want to. They really want it to kind of gel, but they were hoping that the just have fun approach was going to help them, but it hasn't. They're still going to trials and it's still a struggle. What is some of your advice for them?
So my advice for you, it kind of depends on why you're not enjoying competition. But my base level advice would be like flip it the other direction. Try to win. Try to win. And what that means is if you're going to try to win, if you're going to be a winner, that means you're going to celebrate everything you did well. And then the next day, you're going to eviscerate and criticize every little thing you did. Okay. And even if you won, okay, you win the trial. You got first place overall. I had a student. I got first place overall. Great. We celebrate. Now, what could you have done better? Okay? Because actually starting to develop your eye for improvement, you'll start to enjoy the competition as a test of whether or not what you're doing in training is good. Right. And then you might start enjoying trial and say like, and then you'll be like, I don't need to trial because I already know where my holes are. I need to train, fix those holes. And then you start going, I need to test. I need to see if I fix the hole. And then you trial again. And the trial is just an opportunity for you to see what you need to be doing in training. It's the point of the trial is to improve your training, as opposed to the training being to improve your trial. You just flip it completely. That is my advice to that person. Try to win. And that means train to a higher standard, add more clarity. And it probably means dropping your dog down one or more levels from where you think you are. It's like if you're at the NW3 level, maybe you need to go back and do elements or AKC novice. Like go back to that and try to win. Like, does that feel easy? Is that fun for you? Okay, great. Then go one level higher. Okay, now are there holes? Now are there holes you can see? And if you're not seeing the holes, send the video to me. I'll bet I'll find a few holes.
And are there any people, or are there things, signs that you notice in clients where you're like, yeah, I just don't think that you're going to find that kind of level of enjoyment from competition, that maybe doing the activity is sufficient for you? What are some of the things that you may notice in a client where you're like, I think this may be a better route for you?
Yeah, a lot of them. I would say most people. And we just don't see them as much because they're not out there competing. I've had quite a few students, and a lot of them discover how much happier they are without competing because they get a ban or a partial ban. Maybe the dog has issues.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, you know what? Now that I'm not competing, I'm so much happier. Great. You don't have to compete. And I know, too, some of my students feel obligated to compete for me. Yeah. Which I feel really sad about. There is no obligation for my students to compete. And if you compete, there's no obligation for you to do well, whatever that means to you. Right. As long as you're out there having fun, right? I'm going to be ecstatic for you. I just want to make sure that you're out there having a good time. And, now I'm putting the pressure that you're talking about. But you're not obligated to go out there and compete. So don't. And if you're not sure whether that's you or not, take a 6-month break. Mm-hmm. And see how that feels. See how that lands with you. If you really must compete, okay, then ask why. Why do you really need to compete?
Right.
Do you need to keep up with your friends? Is it an obligation socially? Is it, I need to do it for my business? That's a tough one for trainers. Mm-hmm. I need to keep competing and I need to do well in trial because otherwise my students won't respect you. I will tell you that that's false. And who knows, maybe I'll lose business for saying that. But this is all public record. I have done one elite trial. I've never done summit. Okay. That isn't what makes me appealing to my students.
Right.
It's that they can see immediate progress with their dogs and themselves from coming to training with me. I'm able to articulate things well. I think through these issues. I'm very creative with my things. So as an instructor, I know it feels like you have to compete for your students. That may not actually be true. That may be a story you're telling yourself. And do your students really care? Some of them might. Are those really students you want to hold on to? Because I've had a few of those students. They're annoying.
No, it is true. But I think it's an important thing that also feeds into this whole theme that the just have fun framing also applies to us as instructors, to ourselves. Why aren't I just having fun doing this? In busting my butt, doing the hustle, working all hours of the day, doing all this giving, and then looking at my poor dog. Oh, you haven't done any training with me in forever long because I'm doing all this stuff with all the clients. But shouldn't I just be having fun? Is that it's hard. It's a tough nut to crack. But I like the way that you've been describing all these things where we can just kind of take a step back and just wonder about how we're framing all of this so it makes more sense across the board for everybody.
Yeah, and are you having fun?
Right.
Because if you're having fun, then your students will probably be having more fun. And so will your dogs. Like, notice that about yourself. Are you having fun? A lot of people buy our game book because they want to have more fun in their classes. And I think that goes in one of two ways. One way it goes is they realize that the games maybe make their classes a little bit more fun or not, or whatever. And maybe it adds something, maybe it doesn't. The other way it goes, and these tend to be the instructors who see the game book and go, oh my gosh, all these ways to torture my students. Those are the ones that have the most fun. They get it. Like, yes, these are ways of increasing stress. And that the increase of stress in the right ways is fun. It's fun partially because you're building skill and partially because you're seeing some insight into yourself and your dog that you wouldn't have seen outside of the game. And if you're just looking for, it's funny how many people ask me, oh, do you have any drills do you have any games for close hides? And I always have to go, no, you mean drills. So many people talk about games and they mean drills. And I think they understand that when they have a drill that has clear learning and clear progress, that they're having more fun. And what's not fun is nebulous searches that I don't know if I'm going somewhere or making progress or not. I'm like leading my dogs to hides, and like that's not as fun. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they're trying to just have fun. Is they like drop those expectations and they just set searches, and I don't think that's that fun. Sometimes it is. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's an important thing for people to consider is all of it is important at the end of the day, because this is a very optional thing. It's not as if nose work disappeared tomorrow, the world is going to explode. We would be a little sad about it, but life would go on. But that means it should be something that we look forward to and that our dogs look forward to.
It's a hobby.
Yes. Yes, it's a hobby. But I think that it's wonderful, the things you've been talking about, to just help all of us just take a breather to think about, okay, well, why am I viewing this way? What is my relationship with pressure? And thinking about it with all the different hats that someone may wear, where it's super complicated the more hats you do wear. And I'd love to hear your take on that, is if someone is a trial host, they're also a trial official, they're also an instructor, they also have their own personal dog. Can you talk about that? And we'll wrap up with that, as far as how that person is able to have a good framing where they are still having enjoyment and they're not falling into some of the pitfalls that you talked about.
Yeah, I think the way I do it is I'm very good at compartmentalizing the different parts of my life. When I'm a competitor, I'm not an instructor and I'm not a CO and I'm not any of these things. I'm just a competitor. I'm there with my dog. I'm just there with my dog. And do thoughts come in every now and then about, oh, like these people know I'm an instructor, it's difficult. Like it's really awkward sometimes. I was literally coming out of the bathroom at a trial and someone said, "Are you Michael McManus?" like it's ridiculous that someone, I get it, but
yes,
I watch you on TV, and I'm sure they just meant your live stream and on set. Right. But, that was uncomfortable. Yes. And no, they were just being really nice, and they didn't mean anything by it. But but that's a pressure on me now, right? So yes, those thoughts come into my mind, and I do, as an instructor, I travel outside of my region farther so that less people recognize me. That helps my mental process. And when I'm an instructor, I'm not a competitor and I'm not a CO. I might speak on a question as a CO, this is the answer, or this or that. But I try to do my best to, if you're all of those things at once, there's so many different ways you can fail now. But if you're just the one thing, okay, now there's like a much more manageable set of things to fail at. And that makes life a little easier. I think the competitor is the hardest part to balance with everything else.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the more you can just recognize, like, your performance with your personal dog is not a reflection of you as an instructor. You as an instructor is not a reflection as you as a CO, and so on. Every possible permutation of that, it's not a reflection on that. I failed miserably on NW2 with Maggie a couple weekends ago. Anybody can look it up on the NACSW website. We were second to last place. I had not been training her. She came in. She was quite afraid, and I asked for help. I actually used the opportunity. I was really excited. I was like, I've never asked for help before, and now I get to do it, and I can tell my students what it feels like to ask for help. I'm not afraid of telling you that. Some of you may lose respect for me and say, wow, I guess he's not as good a trainer as I thought he was. Yeah, that's probably true. If you thought I was immune to having dogs with struggles, then yes, I'm not as good a trainer as you thought I was. But yeah, like, we're all humans, and it's okay to fail. I don't know.
Perfect.
I feel like I went on a tangent.
No. I think that it's an important and powerful thing for people to consider. And I'll just wrap it up with this, is I can remember distinctly where I was officiating, when I was still officiating, a USCSS trial. And it was at the very, very beginning, starts when they were first doing things. So I'm the one greeting the person. I'm the one telling them what to do with the line and whatever. And I said something along the lines of, just have fun. And yeah, you've only got, a very short amount of time, but don't worry, that's plenty of time for you and your dog. Talk about pressure to put onto someone right before they go into a search, is that if you do not get this hide within 10 seconds flat, you and your dog suck. And if you don't have fun, you are the worst. That has stuck with me, because as soon as it left my lips, I'm like, what are you doing? this poor person. And sure enough, like, the look on their face told me that the message was received, and it was not received well. I felt awful. I felt so bad. But this is the kind of thing I hope that everyone can think of, is that I know I've said throughout the whole of my career, is in response to things that I notice, like, oh, I just don't like how much ick that looks like, the kind of pressure that you are putting on yourself or on your dog. From an observer standpoint, I just wish it wasn't so icky. Just have fun. It's like, that's not doing anything. That's not helping, actually. Maybe if they had the skill sets in order to maybe either lean into other kinds of pressure or to have other kinds of adjustments, that would be better. But that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, is that all of us, myself very much included, can better frame these things as how we talk about it, how we talk about it with ourselves, and to catch ourselves, because it's very easy to fall into this stuff. And if anyone ever wants to hear about all the stuff that Michael was, insinuating, and not insinuating, was actually saying about this could lead you down a very nasty spiral of depression, a poster child. I have been stuck in my house for years because I'm like, I've just talked myself into, I can't deal with any pressure. Don't be me. Don't be little tiny hermit person. Go live life. It's fine. Go to trials and not do well. It's okay. You can go train outside of your house and have other people see you, and it's fine. Trust me. Don't be like me. I don't do the things that Sanders does. So as we're starting to wrap up, sir, was there anything else that you wanted to share with everyone as far as this big, broad topic, as far as how they're viewing themselves and their dogs when they're training or trialing in nose work?
No, I think we covered a lot of good ground.
Perfect. So I want to thank you all for joining us for our live stream today. You guys were amazing. I also completely agree, Barbara. The ask for help option. This is for anyone who's involved in NACSW trials. Can you just talk about this a little bit more, Michael? Because some people may not be familiar with NACSW, what the ask for help is.
Yeah, so you have the ability now to ask for help at a trial. And depending on the level, that means there's one of two questions you can ask, or two questions you can ask. One is, how many hides are there? If you're in a search where it's a known number of hides, then you can ask where the hides are. And the official, you will get 4 faults. You will not receive a passing score, but the judge will tell you the information that you asked for. They'll tell you exactly where the hides are. I got to do this for the first time recently. It was a lot of fun. The first one was a container search, and we had failed earlier searches, so I knew I was going to do this. And so I said, I'm going to ask for help. I want to know where the hides are. And they're like, oh, great. And they're like, okay, the first container's over there, the second container's over there. And we went, and she found one of the containers, fine. She could not find one of the containers, and she falsed on a distraction. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I asked for help. This was fantastic. And then the second one was a vehicle search. And the judge laughed at me and almost didn't believe me that I was asking for help. She's like, what do you want to know? I'm like, I want to know where the hides are. She's like, well, they're on the vehicles. I'm like, yeah. I get that. But where exactly are they? And so she was surprised that I was asking. Like, I'm having a great day, honestly. I want to ask for help. And so, sometimes they will double check to make sure, because you are forfeiting all your points and your chance at titling and getting ribbons and that kind of stuff. And so, if that is an option available to you, and I highly recommend that you take it's such a weight off your shoulders.
Yes. So just to pull upon this thread a little bit more, because we have a little bit more time, is that something that you would encourage people to do as a strategic thing, that maybe where they were putting too much pressure, like unhealthy, unhelpful pressure on themselves, of I'm going to plan to go to this trial and ask for help so I can still have the trialing experience? Or if they're trying to bridge their training and trialing experience, that maybe that would be a good option to do?
Now, yes. Now, there's another form of pressure that happens. So they tell you, okay, your hides are here and here. And now there's the pressure of shove my dog into the hides and leave it quickly as possible. You still have your time limit. I would still recommend following your normal training, which means letting the dog find the hides on their own, right? I don't care if you direct your dog in certain ways, but what I don't think is a good idea is now to use that opportunity to direct your dog to the hides.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a mistake. But yeah, it's a strategic thing that, like, you've got a dog who is maybe starting to get sour about nose work trial, starting to lose their confidence. It's a great way to boost their confidence. And then you can pay the dog, just like, it's a 2-hide search in NW2. But if my dog finds one of the hides and I pay them for 30 seconds, and who cares?
Right.
The time doesn't matter anymore. I have my time limit. I can't go over that, but I can spend extra time rewarding my dog and making it a fun experience for them. So yeah, it's a great strategic option.
Perfect. We had a final question for you. Can you have fun and be disappointed in a search?
Yeah, most of my searches. But like I said, there should be always ways that you can see improvement. If you want to call that emotion disappointment, or if that word is too emotionally charged for you, that's each person interprets it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
For me, saying like I had a lot of fun at Maggie's NW2 that I'm talking about. I had a lot of fun. I'm really proud of her. I think she had a great day of learning, and I'm super disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in her performance. I'm disappointed in so many things, and we had a blast. So yeah, for me, there's no conflict there. For some people, it might feel weird to sit with both of those seemingly competing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it feels natural.
Perfect. And then one final thing, we just wanted to, I love this conversation, and we love that Mr. Michael comes and has these conversations with us. So with that being said, we are actually going to be launching a very exciting thing at Network University. Many of you have been begging for it, and we're finally doing it. And that is a membership. So we're going to be finalizing the details over the weekend, announcing it around that time. And one of the things it's going to include are these special conversations with various instructors. And our very first conversation is going to be with Michael, where he is going to be talking about the ethology versus interpretation in nosework. So if people are like, what is ethology? Can you just give them a quick breakdown of what that is, sir?
Yeah, my favorite definition is interviewing animals, but in their own language. It is the opposite of what you learn from behaviorism, which is just observing the results of behaviors due to consequences that are being applied, usually in a Skinner box, but also just by trainers with clickers and tree pouches and whatever. Ethology is, there's an animal in its natural environment. Let's not interfere. Let's observe that natural behavior and try to understand it. That's what ethology is.
Perfect. So Michael is going to be doing a big, wonderful talk with us. It'll be next week on the 14th, and that will be for members only. So again, we're going to get you guys all kinds of details as far as what's involved with all of that. So stay tuned. We're just finalizing some of the details. But again, just wanted to give you your props, sir. Thank you as far as the answering of the difference between fun and disappointment. A great chat. Yes, we do appreciate these chats. They're always very mindful. And fantastic. Fun for me is working at the edges of discomfort in training, which helps me enjoy the challenges of trial. Believe me, I want to win. And when we don't, I dig into the challenges of how I can, as a handler, train better. I want my instructors to point out the deficiencies. I've come to love the 30-second warning if it happens. I have 30 seconds to figure out how my handling can help us win. And Michael's like, yes, 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 yes. So you got a gold star, Karen. All right, guys, I want to thank you all so very much for joining us for our live stream today. Definitely make certain you stay tuned. We'll be scheduling more. Definitely make certain you stay tuned for that membership, because you're going to be a part of that too. But sir, this was fantastic. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
All righty, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy training, and please give a cookie to your puppies for us. We'll talk to you soon.